For the Love of Swimming is a podcast that celebrates the wonderfully diverse community of swimmers and fantastic swimming opportunities that exist on the Isle of Wight off the south coast of England. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Sandy Chikunyani. In 2019, I started the group Outdoor Swimming Isle of Wight as I wanted to find people to swim with in the sea. Since then, I've been on an amazing swimming journey, meeting some wonderful people who share my passion for swimming. I founded a social enterprise to support and encourage people to swim in the sea, trained to be an open water coach, developed the concept of a sea cafe, and have brought the sport of longe-cote, renamed sea hiking, to the place where I live. I'm part of the outside research study team based at Sussex University, looking at outdoor swimming as a nature-based social prescribing intervention for depression, and I work in the voluntary sector on the Isle of Wight. For the Love of Swimming is also the name of a series of community events that aim to share information and inspiration and to connect people through swimming. So if you're lucky enough to live on or visit the island, look out for these events coming soon. Follow us on all the usual social media channels and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more personal swimming stories. Today I'm with Kimberley Jennings, who I met 2 or 3 years ago when I went to visit the Shrape swimmers over in East Cowes. We've been seeing a bit more of each other recently, practicing for the peer-to-peer swim, which unfortunately didn't happen this year. But welcome, Kimberley.
Thank you, Sandy. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. I'll just start by asking, what kind of swimmer are you?
Okay, well, I back in 2020 started sea swimming, like a lot of us on the island who discovered our local beach and decided to give it a go. I started out just visiting the Gurnard crew. I can't remember what they're called now. The Dipping Society.
Yes, that's the one, Dipping Society.
And just really loved it. Went quite late on in the season. Just fell in love with being in the water. A really great crowd of people. Made me laugh a lot, and so I decided to look locally for a sort of a group around sort of East Cowes, which is where I live, and coincidentally got chatting to a lady on Facebook called Chris, and she said, I live in East Cowes, we swim, there's a group of us, come down and join us. And that was that. So that really started me back to swimming after a really long gap of not swimming. So a little bit about my background.
Yes.
I have swum for my whole life, and I don't know when I learnt to swim. My parents were naval officers and my dad was a PTI, so physical training instructor. So I spoke to Mum only a couple of days to find out when I learnt to swim and how, and she didn't know and I didn't know.
So it's something you've always been able to do?
Something I've always been able to do since I can remember, but just remember from sort of later on in my sort of junior school that I was swimming for the school team, and I progressed on to swimming for my secondary school, and then joined a really well-known club in Portsmouth and swam for them for a couple of years.
Right. Which club was that?
That was Portsmouth North Sea, which at the time was at an old swimming pool in Portsmouth. I think they've moved now.
Yeah.
It's a very archaic swimming grounds, but I remember lots of competitions.
And what was your favourite stroke?
Probably breaststroke was my favourite stroke, but I think I did a bit of everything. Right. I loved front crawl. I really enjoyed swimming backstroke. Really struggled like most people with butterfly. Still can't do it very well, but watch it and think, I'd still love to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think from memory it was really a breaststroke. Everything was geared towards racing in breaststroke. So yeah, that was my favourite stroke.
Yeah.
And then I think, like a lot of us who, you know, go through college and work and marriage and have children, it kind of just went by the by and swimming just stopped.
Really?
And
yeah.
You take the children, you teach your children to swim, and almost like a 25-year absence from swimming.
Yeah, I think as you say, that happens to a lot of women particularly. Yeah,
they have other commitments, and then I think for me, getting my children off and started and swimming and doing the things that they like to enjoy became my focus. And then 2020 with COVID, I think that really had a huge impact on many of us, me especially, working very part-time hours and really looking for something to do in that downtime, which meant I could be outside and enjoy the fresh air, but actually get some exercise without the confines of, you know, what COVID brought I think, for me. And that was that really.
Excellent.
That kind of started this whirlwind journey and love for the water again.
Excellent. Well, and I know that you fairly recently qualified as a open water swimming coach. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that and what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, nothing in particular inspired me. I left school with very little qualifications. I wasn't particularly academic, have really struggled to get my head around not having a degree and formal qualifications, always been in good jobs, in good work. And I think that introduction back in 2020 to cold water and actually doing something that I loved really made me think about sort of pushing it a bit further. I found myself swimming with other ladies and a couple of gentlemen, and I think that watching their stages at where they're at, I kind of felt, because I had experience in swimming, that I was almost responsible, or felt responsible, felt that I wanted to make sure they were all safe. Yeah. And just with conversation with my husband and a bit of confidence boosting and watching lots on YouTube, decided to take the plunge. Yeah. So to get to the STA open water coaching qualification, I thought it would be really important to go down the teaching route first. So only at the back end of last year in November did I qualify as a Swim England level 2 swimming teacher. And then with that in my back pocket, I was able to apply to straight line swimming to get onto their open water coaching course. Yeah,
so that's the one that I did as well with Kerry-Ann Payne. It was,
and she was fantastic. So, and I think she really inspired me in those initial days. I wrote to her and said, look, this is who I am, this is my background, I've only been teaching for a little bit and I haven't had experience in the pool or sea for a really long time. She said, hey, come along, come and join us. So I did, and best decision. It was great to be with other women. And we were all women, actually a group of 8 women. And what was really lovely was that we were all different ages. There was no divide. We were just all really different backgrounds, all doing it for completely different reasons. And I just thought I found my fit. I found my kind of tribe where I want to be. Yeah. And it was a great course. I learnt absolutely loads.
Excellent.
And so now when I swim, I kind of have to be really careful because I swim for leisure. I don't swim and coach. But in the back of my head, I know that I have all the tools in my pocket. If somebody says, oh, how do you do that? Or, I can say, yeah, why don't you try it this way? Or have you thought about doing it this way?
Yeah.
So I love the coaching.
Excellent. So. Yeah. And you're working as a swimming teacher as well now?
Yeah, I am really fortunate. When I qualified, I met with Emma Robinson of Emma's Otters fairly quickly after I'd passed my qualification. I dropped her an email. We'd already been in conversation about sort of me training. I'd missed a course that she'd run the year before, and so I just dropped her a note because she'd always been really supportive. I said, I've passed, any jobs, ... And that was it. I met with her for a coffee the next week, and the week after, or 2 weeks after, I was teaching, starting to teach. So it's been really small steps, but that whole process has been really enriching from a confidence perspective, because I've gone from somebody that always saw a bit of paper with a GCSE grade on it as something that defined me, and actually getting to 50 something now have this other bit of paper which doesn't have a grade but is about who I am and what I love, and giving me a purpose and giving me a job, something I'm really enjoying. So teaching quite a lot now, and babies and preschool has been a recent add-on. Hoping to do some disability training hopefully later on in the year.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens after then.
Excellent, thank you. and let's talk a little bit about open water swimming events if we can, because I know I sort of slightly bullied you into signing up for the peer-to-peer.
Yeah, you're the expert. You're on my pedestal, kind of, she's done the peer-to-peer, done the Solent. So I find you really inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
So which it's good. It's nice to meet other people that share a passion for something that you do.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Sandy, but I just love it when I'm in the sea or in an open water environment. And we all are there for different reasons.
Yeah.
And it's just such a calming, therapeutic setting. I never come away, I don't know about you, I never come away from a swim feeling low or miserable.
No, I mean, I've never regretted going for a swim ever, I don't think.
No, I think and sometimes I go with a plan, sometimes I, and that doesn't work, sometimes I don't go and I then decide to swim, but I do a bit of everything, a bit of dipping and a bit of swimming and a bit of belly laughing, well, lots of belly laughing actually, not a little bit, a lot of belly laughing, so yeah.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Yeah,
again?
well, I was asking about events. So unfortunately, this year's peer-to-peer swim was cancelled due to the weather. But you're planning next year, are you, to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think, as you know, we were quite late onto the list, so we didn't think. My swim buddy Chris and I didn't think we were going to get a space. But after you'd invited us to the Thursday morning swims, which are fantastic. I thought, I can do this. I can really do this. So yeah, I was really disappointed when the first one got cancelled, and then the second one we were really kind of keeping everything crossed, and I was slightly disappointed because I know you were going to be away, and but yeah, we'll wait another year, and I think our names get automatically, I hope get added to next year's list. So yeah, that's quite a long swim and something I'm really looking forward to.
Excellent. But in the meantime, you've got something else coming up very soon.
Yeah, so as soon as that was cancelled, and I just thought, I've been swimming not huge distances. I haven't been training to the, to, like a lot of other people will be training. I've just been doing what I can. I just thought, I'm going to put my name down for that Solent swim, and fortunately, well, not fortunately, but the first date was cancelled due to bad weather, and so the second date is this coming Sunday.
Yeah, and that's with West White Sports Centre, isn't it?
That's with West White Sports Centre, who are raising funds for the work that they do over there, which is fairly incredible. So yeah, we swim. So that's a route that takes us from Hurst Castle on the mainland across to Colwell Bay, so it's an early start. I think it's a 6 o'clock start at Yarmouth sort of marina office, and then it's a boat over, and then a paddle, not even a paddle back, a frantic swim back, hopefully to get across before that tide turns. And takes, well, hopefully doesn't take me down to the Needles, so be my first swim event. So excellent. Well, I'm hoping to be there to welcome swimmers in some capacity. Yeah, I think there's quite a few people doing it, aren't there? A few that couldn't because the date had got moved. But I think it's going to be, I think it'll be something I'm still really nervous about.
I was going to say, are there any fears that you've got associated with water?
Do you know, even though I'm used to swimming in the cold water, I swim like you, Sandy, all the way through the year, and I tend to wear a swimming costume. I'm actually really worried about getting cold, and I can't decide whether or not to wear a wetsuit or just to go with my swimming costume, which is what I've been training in. And the advice generally is to wear what you've been training in. And so that's
just swim a bit faster.
Yeah, there is that, but it's like if I go too fast, I might go ahead of the person that I'm paired with, because as you know, we're paired with a safety kayaker in between, so lots of things going through my head, goggles misting up, lots of things. What if I run out of energy and I need some chocolate, or where can I store a bit of chocolate in my swimsuit, and will it melt? Will it?
It's funny the things that we sort of worry about, isn't it, and ponder over.
And they say swim towards the fort, aim towards the fort. Well, what if I can't see that? What if I missed my goggles? I mean, everything goes through your mind. What if I meet a 12-foot jelly barrel fish or barrel jellyfish going across, and it
Well,
decides
I
to
was
pop
going to
up.
say, I mean, a lot of people do have lots of anxieties about things, and then they just give up because they're what is it you think stops you giving up and sort of makes you overcome those? Is there anything?
For me, on the day, it will be friends and family on the other side. I think that's going to really inspire me to keep swimming.
Yeah.
And I think it's psychological, something I haven't done before and something I'm really determined to do. So I think it will just be that I've done this, I've achieved this. If I can do this at the age that I'm at, and I've had a few issues, health issues and some spinal issues, then anything's really possible. And I think I tend to see that with a lot of the swimmers that I swim with. We've got another lady that's sort of a little bit older than me. It's talking about doing the swim next year. So I think it's, let's do it. Let's get across. Let's put my flag in the sand and tick that one thing off. Yeah. And it's the first thing which might lead on to something else. Yeah. And never too old. Yeah. And I think, certainly for me, that's one of the things I love about swimming, that it is kind of quite an accessible sport. Yeah. If you can do it at so many different levels, can't you? You sort of whatever's, I think you see I think you see what's the right word to use? There's a real diverse background of people and ages and stories, abilities, disability. It is something that I think even open water swimming is becoming something that's more accessible. You look at sort of some of the craft that are used to help sort of people with mobility issues into the sea. I don't know if they've got anything like that right. Yes, in fact, at our event, they're bringing an accessible wheelchair down as well. So I think that's really great. And I think what I really like in the swim group that we have, it's just about being kind with each other and helping people. Some people come down and stop and talk to us and say, "Oh, I'd love to do that," and my first question is, well, what stops you? What makes you think, well, I can't do that? And a lot of the time it's around body image, self-confidence. It's about access in and out of the water. But we all hold hands normally. And in the cold, we have a rule of thumb where if somebody gets out because they're really cold, we all as a group tend to exit at the same time. So it makes it that they don't feel like they're the odd one out, or that they're left out. We try to make it as inclusive as possible, and I think that's what swimming allows for. It can be competitive, it can be non-competitive, it can be messing around and having funny games and going bodyboarding for at Compton for a day, rather than I think it accesses other parts of, just it gives you access to not just a competitive side of exactly sport. And I think that's the other thing, is that you have different phases of your life, but also within the same week sometimes you can be tired and just want to have a dip, and other times you want to really sort of belt it out and compete, absolutely. And sometimes, as you know, on a Thursday morning some of us even need a bit of a I've been swimming on the same spot for about 5
don't
minutes
know what
now.
you're referring
to. I don't know who I might be talking about. But you have to kind of, that encouragement with each other is it's really important. It's really important. And our group has really bonded through swimming, and we do some really mad things. I know I'm digressing. Well, there was a little bit of a special swim you had. A very special chilly swim back in November, which we in the early hours of the morning. It was super early hours, but there is a story around that, so I will come on to that. So a couple of the girls, Nikki and Barbara, decided that they would like to do a skinny dip for charity, and so I think it ended up being about 8 or 9 of us, quite a few of us, that we would raise money for the Isle of Wight feline rescue and the From Foster to Forever, for the dogs that are come here from Spain that are looking for other homes. Really great charities. So we stripped down to nothing. Early hours of a late November morning, and when the sun had just come up, And yeah, that's it. Stripped off on the beach, went in, had a swim, and got out and had some breakfast. Had the sort of Calagas camping stove going, hot chocolate and bacon sandwiches, which was amazing. And yeah, didn't think anything of it. Really enjoyed it. We raised about £1,200 for charity, and we got home later on in the day, and one of our swimmers' husbands had taken some pictures of some of the boats and some of the birds that he'd photographed during the day, and then underneath his post said, "It was really strange. I was down there at really early hours o'clock this morning. I can't remember what time it was, but I saw some very funny looking birds, but they didn't have any feathers on." So we know that we were spotted,
Yes.
and we probably broke a few indecency public highway
I think it's
laws.
allowed if no one's around.
Do you know what? There was nobody really around, and it was great.
It was fun. I bet you laughed a lot.
We laughed, and there were lots of, well, yours are bigger than mine, and you know, oh, it was hilarious. We had such a good time. We are doing another one later on in the year. Dates to be confirmed.
Yeah.
We wholly expect you to be there.
I'll see what I can do.
See what my diary's looking like. But yeah, it's encouraging women to be happy in their bodies, and I never thought I would do anything like that. So, you know, we've gone from sort of back in the water and swimming to stripping off for charity.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, fantastic. And are there any sort of events that you've seen around the country or around the world, in fact, that you sort of are on your list now that you fancy doing at some point, perhaps? No, you don't fancy swimming the Channel or Ice Miles, or?
Do you know what? I haven't really thought any more about my next thing until I've done my first thing.
Yes, of course. So after this weekend.
Yeah, and I think that's something my husband finds quite frustrating, is that I'm not a long-term planner. I'm a real short-term planner. So I didn't book onto the Pier Swim when it was registered, when it came out, or the Pier Swim. I was kind of, there's 2 weeks to go. I might stick my name down and see what happens. So I think I've been looking at the Henley Swim, because I've never done any river swimming. So
it's very different to sea
is it
swimming.
really?
Yes. Yeah.
In what way?
Well, you don't have the same sort of buoyancy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it. I still love it, but it is very different. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Worth doing, definitely.
Yeah, so that's something that I've thought about, and again, it's confidence with me. Would I be fit enough? You know, would I get the right support? It's all those $1 million questions, isn't it? That I think for me, as a not a hugely confident person, would have to kind of climb over those steps first. And I think the swim on Sunday will really be that stepping stone that I can say, well, I've done that, and I know it's only a mile and a 1.3 miles, but you know, but there's another Solent swim which is longer, that runs from Leon Solent or Stokes Bay to Ryde. So that's something that I would think about in you know, maybe in the next couple of years.
But I mean, I don't want to start scaring you or anything, but obviously the difference with the Solent swim is you're going far out, aren't you? It's different from swimming along the coast, and you're sort of you're deeper, and it's a little bit rougher, and there are other things out there.
No, we're not going to talk about those other things. So do you know, I even thought about buying tinted goggles, thinking that might just help me stop, you know, might not see anything.
Because you said jellyfish are not something that...
Jellyfish are not my favourite things. But then it's not just about seeing them. I think I could do, it's things touching me. And, you know, even in a group, we might be just having a fun dip, you know, swim ball dip kind of thing, and somebody's foot might touch mine. And I can literally propel myself out of the water about 3 feet, which is quite hysterical.
Should channel that for your butterfly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. And that's my biggest. I think it's that touching. It's you can't see, and it's that fear of the unknown. The deep water doesn't worry me too much. And going across, I think the tide is for a lot of people that swim in the Solent, tides are really strong.
Yeah.
And in that sort of part of the Western Solent, that's a really narrow strip of water between Hurst and Colwell. So I think, you know, that timing that tide is going to be crucial to getting across. Within
I think that's the great thing about doing it with someone like the West White Sports Centre. They've got so much experience, and you know, and they do the planning extremely well. So I think that should give you confidence.
Yeah,
you know.
I think so. And but I'm a bit of a, you know, like to check as well.
Yes.
Make sure it's, you know, where's the tidal flow? What's the wind doing?
Yeah, because you are a sailor as well, aren't you?
I am a sailor as well. So yeah, my husband keeps saying, just keep it really simple. Just put your swimming costume in your bag, put your goggles in the bag, buy a bar of dairy milk, and off you go. I'll see you at the other side. So I think that's probably what will happen. Yeah. Overthinking. I think we can overthink things.
We can we? Yes,
yeah. So I'm trying hard not to do that. And I'm just looking forward to coming up that beach and giving everybody a really big hug, and then I will probably cry because I'm a big soppy person like that. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah, good. Talking of packing your bag, have you got any tips or any favourite bits of kit, things that you wouldn't be without?
Yeah, I obviously I've got a favourite pair of goggles. I've tried lots of different pairs of goggles, found a pair that really suit me. They aren't the most expensive, they are a really lovely mask, they're a really good fit. I think it's been really important to find a pair that don't leak and don't fog up. So that is my, you know, if I go swimming and I don't have that, that really sets me back. And then I don't tend to swim in a wetsuit during the year, but just a really good swimming costume. So I use the
Toco ones,
swimming costume, so anything that's recycled is slightly warm. For my swim this weekend, I'll be wearing a neoprene swimming costume, so it's keep me slightly warmer than a regular. And I always wear swim socks, so I don't tend to bother with the beach shoes with the plastic bottoms. I just wear a really good pair of sort of 3 or 5 mil neoprene socks. I keep my feet really warm. I think with good gloves and socks, keeping your extremities warm is really important. Yeah. And then I don't know about you, I know you wear earbuds, but I wear a waterproof MP3 player with all my favourite songs on it. So that really gets me going. And because I really love that modern dancey kind of music, all of the beats and the tempos mean that I can usually get my stroke in time with my music. And I feel like I'm having a little mini Ibiza party on my swim. So
I really must try that, yes.
Which is really good fun. It makes it so much more enjoyable. Yeah. And then if I don't swim, if I don't have them with me because they run out of charge, because I'm really good at not charging them up, I just feel a little bit lost. A little swim to myself in the water. And then when I find that space where I've had a swim and I can stop and there's nobody around me if I'm on my own, which I'm not normally on my own, I normally have somebody with me, and so that's really important. It's just a really nice time just to find a bit of space. Yeah. And so my favourite bit of swim kit is my MP3 swim player and my goggles.
Great. Thank you. And what about food? Do you have any particular habits eating before, afterwards, or any?
Yeah, I tend to. So I'm a big banana fan. So if I go for a swim, so when we do our swim on a Thursday morning or any training swim for, I will always have a banana and a glass of water, and then I always have a coffee or a hot chocolate when I come out, so a really hot drink. Yeah. I've got a favourite swim cup. Okay. So over the years,
you're a China cup loader.
I've kind of gone through the enamel cups because the enamel chips, and then the tin cups, and then but you burn your hands if you haven't got gloves on, and then so I've got this really quirky little China cup that's really small. I can hold it in my hands, and it just makes that post swim drink just a little bit more enjoyable than slurping from a plastic cup or something. And as you know, after our Thursday swims, it's nice just to have a bit of downtime and a bit of social time, which a lot of swim groups I think do. It's that it becomes part of that whole process. You go for a swim, and if you're in a group, then you have a coffee
Yeah.
and a bit of a laugh together and a catch up, see what everybody's doing. But yeah, that's my routine: a banana before swim, or half a banana, and then I might have the other half afterwards. But I tend not to swim on a full stomach at all. And sometimes there's even cake. Should we talk about cake?
Yes. What's your favourite swim cake? Post-swim
my
cake.
favourite swim cake is one of our swims, Vera. And if she listens to this, I hope she listens. She makes the most fabulous banana cake. And I think she does something with the bananas. They must be dried bananas, but they're really crunchy and sweet on top. It's just like banana loaf, and it is, oh my goodness, it is the best cake I've ever had.
Wow.
It is fantastic. So I must ask her to make another one.
Yeah.
And see what other cakes do we, anything. I'm just not fussy. You know, goggles is one thing, cake is another thing.
Yeah.
Just go with whatever anybody wants to bring. So.
Excellent. Thank you. I think we've covered quite a lot. Is there anything else that you would like to say about swimming on the Isle of Wight, or about your journey?
I think it's just if it's something you've never tried before, is to find a local group. There's the outdoor swimming group on the Isle of Wight that you're involved with. I think you run the page, don't you? Yeah. Which has amazing information on lots of information about times and meets and that sort of thing, which I love. Talk to people, go and just get to know who's swimming and ask them some questions. A lot of groups will have people that have got qualified coaches in that are just swimming for leisure but might be happy to share some advice. Do a bit of research and go out there and give it a go. It's cold, it's, you know, nobody's gonna say, oh, it's lovely and warm. It's never really lovely and warm. But you can learn to acclimatise with that and learn to really enjoy the benefits of being in the sea or the swimming pool. I just think it's life-changing. It's been life-changing for me.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kimberley.
Thank you,
and
Sandy.
I will see you in the sea soon.
You will do. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Having said goodbye, we're going to come back a little bit because we forgot a few things, and I wanted, can I ask you a little bit about some of the health problems that you've had over the last few years that have affected, well, just tell me about, what's happened to you.
Sandy. I know we've kind of got into that conversation after we've come to the end. I think, as I explained to you, I had suffered with really chronic back pain for many years, sort of after the birth of my son in 2001. I just got progressively worse. And in 2014, I just decided that actually it was having such a massive impact on my life, on my ability to even get out of bed and get myself dressed. And then I went off to see my GP, and my GP referred me straight away for a scan and x-ray. And within 6 weeks, I was admitted to the Wessex Neurological Unit in Southampton for my first lot of spinal surgery. And what had happened was that the disc had deteriorated, and my part of my spine was, two of the vertebrae were rubbing bone on bone. So lots of damage to my sciatic nerve, lots of damage to the nerves around my bladder, so massive sort of physical and mental impact. So I recovered from that fairly slowly, got back on my feet, went back to very gentle working hours, changed my job, and then in 2015 I was seen again because I was having issues with bladder control and some issues with weakness in my right leg, and I was back in hospital within about 8 weeks that time, and they did a further repair, and I had some metal rods put in either side of the vertebrae that was affected. Had a couple of days in hospital, came home, spent a little bit of time in a wheelchair, just, you know, my husband just wheeling me around when needed. And I think physically it was, I kind of really underestimated what that would do. Yeah. But more importantly, mentally, what that would look like moving forward and how that would impact not just my life, but my family's life. Yeah. Because for a lot of people that suffer pain and manage chronic health conditions where pain plays a massive part of their day, it's been a real challenge.
Yeah.
So I think, actually, when you asked me about what had inspired me, I remember having a conversation with my husband really early on, sort of talking about the changes that we would need to make as a family. We would not be able to sail a dinghy and hike out on a dinghy together and race in the way that we'd done before, and that I would probably have to not run and probably cut my distance with walking, because walking's been a real, and still continues to be a real issue for me, because it causes discomfort. So the swimming has been something that I started really slowly and has been really important to aid that recovery. And actually, in that whole journey from starting out in the cold water, which was really therapeutic in itself because it made me feel better and had a really calming, numbing effect on my pain, I actually felt that there was a freedom for me to use my arms and my legs in a really gentle way, which meant I was starting to have some exercise. And that exercise became, well, I'm actually exercising today. I'm not just going for a dip, I'm actually exercising, not something I thought I would ever do. So obviously my weight had piled on over the last few years, and that's been something that's I've been able to control because I'm swimming and I feel healthier and I feel fitter. And yeah, I think that's been a real driving force, not wanting to go back, certainly not wanting to have any more surgery, but certainly wanting to go back if I needed to go back in a few years' time for anything else that was going on. I could say I've done A, B and C to manage my long-term pain, and I've been able to reduce my pain medication, which I still take in the evening, from this to a very small amount.
That's great.
With through just being in the water. So I think that does put a lot of people off. Oh, it's gonna hurt, I've got a really uncomfortable knee, I've got an uncomfortable shoulder, I've got, you've still got pain. I still have pain. I still know when I've overdone a swim because my shoulder hurts. I think as we get older, our bones soften and our bodies change, and we are prone to injury, we're prone to arthritic limbs and joints. So I think actually being in the sea, being in a pool, being somewhere where you can just really gently exercise is absolutely crucial. And I think mentally, if I'd not taken that plunge, I think I would have just used my back pain as an excuse to not go out and try stuff, not go out and do things that I've not done before, and actually say, no, that I'm not going to be defined by this spinal condition and this surgery that I've had. I'm gonna go out there and be me, a new me, a different me, but a me that manages something. But actually, I can do that as well. So I think, give it a go. Absolutely. Anybody that has a shoulder or a knee or a hip just come and find a space with some people that you can get to know that will help you and support you in and out of the water, and help you get dressed if you need to get dressed, because we do that with our group of swimmers.
Cool. And when you're in the water supports you, doesn't it?
And a lot of our swimmers won't go out of their depth. As Mark uses the water for his sea hikes, which is a fabulous kind of, I don't know the French word for it.
Longe-cote.
Longe-cote. So I've seen Mark doing that along, which looks amazing for sort of core strength and that, that sort of thing. But it has been absolutely life-changing.
And you said if you thought back to 2016, you wouldn't imagine where you are now.
No, absolutely not. I could we had a downstairs bathroom, we've been able to move the bathroom back upstairs, things are, I have to compensate in areas where, I know actually if I'm going to go for a long walk with the dog, actually I might be sore for a couple of days afterwards, or if I'm going to go for a longer swim, my shoulder might hurt, but actually I have a plan then to manage that afterwards, rather than, if I go swimming, that's going to hurt for a couple of days, so I'm not even going to try. I think it's overcoming that hurdle and having a plan, and then just keep swimming.
Yeah.
Just keep
Yeah.
swimming.
It's a great phrase, isn't it?
Is that Nemo?
I think it is.
So
and as you say, the body has such great abilities to heal itself, doesn't it? If you allow it or encourage it to.
Absolutely. I think we all can. You cut your hand and you watch it heal. It's quite fascinating how the human body, kind of heals itself. And I think for me, a lot of how I was feeling with dealing with pain and the problems and issues that I have with my back. Actually, I could let my brain and my mental thought process completely control what my body does and what it doesn't do. And actually having a really positive, and I know that's really easy to say because I've come through, and it has been a long time. It took COVID to light that fire.
Yeah.
But then actually when I look back at that little trail in the water behind me, I can see these little milestones of actually I could swim a bit further today, and I could put my face in the water, and I could get out without holding the rail, and then I could actually take my wetsuit off without falling flat on my face, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
And just when you have to kind of look back every so often and actually count all those achievements and milestones to see where you are now, and I think we often forget to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, always a good thing to do.
Yeah. Look back and pat yourself on the back for what you have achieved.
For every single thing, getting in the sea. And we have swimmers that come down and they'll get in and they'll get out and they'll say, I only managed a couple of minutes. And my first response is, fantastic, that's amazing. 2 minutes while you've had your dopamine hit, that's absolutely fine. You're sorted for the rest of the day. But actually you've come down and you've given it a go, and it might not be for you, but it might be, because it might just plant a seed which makes you think, actually they're a really nice group down there, or there was somebody my age or somebody my size or something that you can relate to that breaks that barrier down. So
excellent. Well, thank you once again, Kimberley.
You're welcome.
And we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Sandy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.